Want to fund your HSA and your Roth IRA, but don't have enough money to do both? Got an interesting strategy, interesting approach. Share that and more coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. Every single year, you've got to make the decision to contribute to retirement pre-tax or after-tax Roth, right? And yes, this is an every year decision because your situation changes. Both your income changes, sometimes deductions change, sometimes, tax laws change, right? So you've got to take a look anytime there's changes, but at least once a year and say, well, should I be contributing pre-tax or Roth? Is everything staying the same and I should just keep doing what I'm doing, or should I make an adjustment? Pre-tax obviously makes the most sense when you're in a high tax bracket today and likely to be in a low tax bracket out there in the future. You contribute pre-tax, that's a deduction. The amount that you contribute is a deduction today, helps you today. Then when you withdraw the dollars out there in the future, both what you contributed and the growth is taxable. So again, benefits you when you're in a high tax bracket today, low tax bracket out there in the future, which will likely be the case for many of us in retirement where you're not earning as much income, right? Or you could do Roth contributions, which are after tax. There's no tax benefit today, but then all of the growth comes out tax-free after you've had a Roth for 5 years and you're age 59 and a half. So makes sense to do Roth if you're in a low tax bracket today and really a high tax bracket out there in the future, or who cares what tax bracket you're in the future. If you're in a lower tax bracket today, makes sense to do the Roth. So we all have that decision to make. One of my favorite strategies, shared this before, depends on your overall financial plan. One of my favorite tax shelter strategies is if you're sort of riding the fence or want tax diversification, which I think many people should aspire to have, max funding your 401k pre-tax, but then also contributing after tax and maxing out your Roth IRA. So doing the two of those, okay, so you're getting the tax benefit today, also have some dollars growing tax-free for the future. You've got tax diversification. Now, the best of both worlds, you know this, is the HSA. The health savings account is the trifecta of tax benefits. Your contribution into the HSA is pre-tax, gets a deduction. All the investment activity, interest, dividends, all that sort of stuff, if you have it invested, is sheltered while it's in the HSA. And then when you withdraw money from the HSA for qualifying medical expenses, either now or to reimburse yourself out there in the future for expenses that you have right now, then it's tax-free. So pre-tax in, tax sheltered within, and then tax-free on the way out. It's actually the best of both worlds. Many people, and we've been communicating this and suggesting this for a long time, consider making your HSA part of your retirement or tax shelter strategy. Well, here's an interesting idea. What if you're thinking about your overall tax shelter strategy, working with your CFP, and you look and say, well, I am in a low tax bracket today, so I'd love to fund the Roth and have these dollars grow tax-free for the future, but I also want the benefit, and I'm eligible to contribute to an HSA. I want the short-term benefit as well. I'd like to contribute both to my HSA and my Roth, but I really don't have enough cash flow to do both. Well, in that situation, what if you contributed the maximum amount to your HSA and you got the deduction, okay? But then as you had medical expenses, instead of using your HSA and drawing those dollars out of your HSA to pay for the medical expense, your copay, your deductible, your prescriptions, you paid for those out of pocket, okay? And as you saved up those receipts, you then make a lump sum withdrawal from your HSA for the amount of out-of-pocket expense that you had. You withdraw that from your HSA and contribute to your Roth IRA. In a, I'm not going to say perfect world, but where this strategy really would make sense is if you're married, say, you make an $8,300 maximum contribution to your HSA, okay? And let's assume that you've got $7,000, just for example, of out-of-pocket medical expenses. You hit your deductible and prescriptions and all that sort of stuff. You paid out of pocket for $7,000 of medical expenses. Well, near the end of the year, you withdraw $7,000 from your HSA. Even though you contributed $8,300, you'll get that tax deduction of that $8,300 contribution. You withdraw $7,000 from your HSA because that's how much medical expenses you have, and you can withdraw that and not pay any tax on it. But then you take that $7,000, and instead of replenishing the out-of-pocket expenses you just paid, you contribute that to your Roth IRA. You might say, well, what's the benefit in doing that? It would be just the same if you left it in the HSA. That's true. That's true that it actually would, except that you wouldn't need to continue to keep those IOUs or those receipts, and you could have that $7,000 positioned in a Roth IRA that's going to grow tax-free forever anyway. Plus, the Roth IRA, if you still have some dollars when you pass away, have some dollars in there, then it's going to be received in a much more tax-favorable treatment than any other type of account would be. Therefore, this doesn't make sense in every situation, but if you have the ability you're eligible to contribute to an HSA, but you don't have enough money to do both the HSA and the Roth, consider shoeboxing. If this is the case, you may not be able to afford to pay your out-of-pocket expenses out of pocket. You might need to, right? There's not a lot of drawbacks to this strategy other than, well, the realistic likelihood that, well, if you don't have enough money to contribute to both the HSA and the Roth, you likely don't have enough money to also cover your out-of-pocket medical expenses out of cash flow as well. You'd likely need to use your HSA to cover those. And if you don't have a lot of out-of-pocket medical expenses, that's great news, but then that means you don't have any that you can withdraw out of your HSA tax-free to then redeposit into the Roth. That's really the only major downside is that limited drawback. So this has a very narrow use case, but if this helps in your situation and could be part of your overall tax planning strategy, hopefully it's something you consider with your CFP. Ideally, and this depends on your overall financial situation. I mean, this is why you've got to look at all 6 areas of your financial life to see what makes the most sense so that you can bring synergy to those 6 areas. But if your present financial position is strong, first area of your financial life, where your balance sheet is strong, you've got strong income, and you manage your budget well, and you've got a health savings account, so protection planning, an HSA high deductible health plan, okay, then your tax picture suggests you should do this tax planning. Yes, you'll have to consider investing. It'll make sense in your retirement plan, and you'll have to be aware from an estate planning standpoint. I mean, it touches all 6 areas. I would encourage, work with your CFP, max that 401k, max that Roth IRA, and max that HSA and shoebox it as well. Now that would be a significant amount that you're able to stuff away into tax shelters, saving up for your financial future. But again, if you're able to, because you've got a strong present financial position, you've got the HSA available, certainly will help you on your tax picture. You'll invest those wisely into wise strategies, see how that improves and helps and contributes to your long-term retirement plan. And obviously, make sure you've got the right beneficiaries and you're aware of, from an estate planning standpoint, that diversification, funding those different accounts. Gosh, that would be a fantastic approach. Work with your certified financial planner on that. If you're not able to do that, maybe this HSA Roth connection, that strategy could work for you as well. Work with your CFP, build out that overall tax shelter strategy, and make the most of your tax situation and opportunities that are available to you. If you don't have a CFP on your team that's doing tax planning or working with you on all 6 areas of your financial life, contact one on my team. You can find us online, Korhorn.com, that's Korhorn with a K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or send us an email, info@korhorn.com. Right there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.